What's going on, casters? Dylan from Pandito Gaming here, and today we're going to do a different style of video. Instead of talking about market or news or talking about tips and tricks for shipping, I just want to share my journey with you guys in Elestrals, how I got here to begin with, and why I'm still here. What I'm looking to do in the future, we'll probably touch on a little bit, but this is more of just background in case you're interested. Maybe you'll relate to some of this stuff, kind of information, just so people kind of understand my story and get to know me a little bit better. So we'll probably jump through timelines a little bit here. I don't have any specific plan for this. There's a few things I want to make sure I touch on, but for the most part, um, I'm just kind of winging this. So we'll start with my first introduction into TCGs. I was born in the 90s, so obviously my first card game was Pokemon, like a lot of people around that time. I started a little bit after it first came out. My family was a little less well off when I was young, so I was only getting packs here and there when I did chores, or if I mowed yards for people, I could make my own money and I could pay for packs. I played with some of the neighborhood kids. I didn't really know how to play the game very well. It was more just about collecting the cards because they were cool and we loved the anime. Um, I mostly played with older kids in my neighborhood. They kind of aged out after like 6 months to a year. So it was really around like probably jungle, fossil, only a few sets when I really didn't wasn't into it as much. And after not playing with my cards for a few weeks, my mom donated my entire binder full of Pokemon cards to our church, and that kind of killed my vibe towards Pokemon. At least the card game. I still played all the video games. I still watched the animes all the way through Hoenn, the third generation. I was into Pokemon still. But around the time, I guess it was a little bit after the anime came out, they came out with a Yu-Gi-Oh card game. I played Yu-Gi-Oh for when I was 10, 11, a little bit into when I was 12. I actually went to tournaments for that. I don't know if I was good or if I was just better than the people who I played against. But after a while, I actually did well enough to earn spots in more regional tournaments, but we didn't have the money or time to go to those. So after I had won, a couple books a million tournaments, and I couldn't go any further than that, I kind of got bored and just stopped doing trading card games. Um, Really didn't even think about trading card games anymore after that. I did have a friend shortly after I graduated college and started a job who did investments in vintage Pokemon cards. This was, I want to say around like 2016, 2017. He had a bunch of uncut sheets from the original print runs, like some crazy niche stuff. He had like hollow only prints from things. And, I at the time was like, man, you're kind of crazy investing in all this kind of stuff. He had like 40 or 50 grand worth of stuff in it at that time. And I just kind of brushed it off and ignored him. Um, Around COVID, I had my second kid, and around that time, like a lot of other people, I had struggles with the transition to working from home and isolation, and we had a new kid on top of that. I kind of struggled a little bit for a year or two. Around the time Legends Arceus came out, the video game, I think that was early 2022. I started like rediscovering my interest in Pokemon. I started playing some of the games that I missed, Diamond and Pearl, Black and White, Sun and Moon, X and Y. I got into those. I don't know if it was just magic from Google or whatever, or they listened to me. They started recommending me to watch things on YouTube and other platforms that I started kind of watching. I watched some Twitch streams, some YouTube videos. A lot of it had already been made, and I was just watching backlogs. I know a lot of people got into that during COVID. I was a little bit after that. I watched like Vinny and Dobbs, United Gamer. Eventually, I stumbled upon Austin John Plays and A Drive and Shady Penguin, and I just like absorbed all of that content. I was at a point probably where I was watching maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of Pokemon content every day. And I would do like shiny hunts at the same time A Drive was doing them. I would do playthroughs of fan made games alongside other people doing them too. And that was really fun. I had a blast doing all that. And at the end of 2022-ish, I think, was when. Oh yeah, because we just hit the 4 year. So yeah, at the end of 2022, A Drive talked about starting his own game, and I had put so much time into watching his stuff. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put some money into the Kickstarter. I think I got like the $500 or $600 tier. I don't remember how much it was exactly, but it came with a case of booster boxes, and I didn't even give it a second thought until they announced that it was being shipped. When it got here, I opened it and I had a lot of fun opening things. And I explored the Discord channels, which Elestrals was the first Discord channel I'd ever actually joined. I heard about people talking about it a lot, but I never really got into it. So I joined the Elestrals Discord channel, saw the Marketplace channel, was like, hey, I had fun opening the first boxes. Maybe I can get some more. So I started selling the hollows and the rares. I wasn't ever planning on playing the game. It was just cool. I liked some of the cards. And when the Kickstarter first came out, there was a significantly positive EV to the boxes. You could open the boxes. You pay somewhere between 100, 130, depending on the seller and how many you bought. But each of the rares were selling north of $5, except for Circle the Sky. For those of you who don't know the meme that I have with Circle the Sky, there was a meme at some point on the Elestrals Discord channels and other places where everybody ripped a Glidesdale. I never really got into that personally. I had nothing against Glidesdale, but I can tell you from experience when I was selling cards during that first Kickstarter run, no one ever bought Circle the Skies. So I still to this day have a stack of Circle the Sky cards from Kickstarter that just nobody wanted because it was easy to obtain. There was it's the same copies as every other card, just nobody really wanted it that much. Not to mention it's been reprinted in different versions and all this other stuff since then. So when I was actually looking for my first Stellar, I got really frustrated because my 23rd box had 8 Circle the Skies in it. And back then, you were more or less guaranteed, not super guaranteed, but very close to guaranteed 10 hollow cards in each box, and then one full art divine, one hollow spirit, and somehow I just got a box that just really bad variants. I had a ton of Circle of the Skies. So the next box I opened was my 24th box. That was the box that I actually got my first Stellar in. It was an Equilinks. Um, I my first pack, I pulled a Circle of the Sky. And I was so mad that I just ripped it in half. And a few packs later was when I pulled my Stellar. And so now I think, just the Elestrals gods agree. Circle the Sky sucks, and it's a terrible card. And I know some of my audience loves Circle the Sky. That's okay. To this day, I still deem it the worst card in Elestrals history. And when you tear it in half, you get good luck. Um, Anyways, back to my story. So yeah, I was selling cards, I was buying booster boxes, and I was actually making money from it. I would say I probably threw roughly the 34-ish, 35. I don't know the exact number, I lost count, but after I got all the boxes and I sold everything in it, most of the cards are gone at this point. I have a few leftovers, like all the Circle of the Skies. Um, but I think I made somewhere in the $500 to $600 range, roughly, from all of that. And I was very excited about it. I was like, wow, this was great. I actually had a ton of fun opening cards, and I was able to sell the things that I pulled from it for a profit. And I still had some leftovers that I kept in my personal collection, like the first Trifernal full art that I ever pulled. I still have that card. Um, but yeah, it was a fun experience and I loved it. But around that time, that was several months later, a lot of the hype was dying. Less people were paying attention to it from the opening and collecting experience. It was getting harder to sell some of the cards. And, everybody was just waiting for first edition to start, which wasn't for like a year after that. So during that time, I kind of turned and pivoted towards Pokemon again. And at the time, Paldea Evolved was just releasing. It was a not well received set, but I was a huge fan of Scarlet and Violet. I know it had performance issues on the game, but I really liked the new Pokemon they added. I thought a lot of the mechanics were really cool. And I really loved the variety that was in Paldea Evolved. So I kind of transitioned from opening a ton of Elestrals cards to opening a ton of Pokemon cards, which for those of you who ever been in Pokemon, you probably cringed there and you're like, that's a terrible idea because the EV went from positive in Elestrals to dramatically negative in Pokemon. I would say generously back then when it was a terrible market and you could get boxes for insanely cheap. 36 packs for $80 was what I was paying for a lot of my Pokemon cards. I would, at that time was making roughly 50 to 60% of my money back. Good luck here and there could get you 70, 80%. There was a very good floor actually compared to now, where now if you open a Pokemon box, you could spend $250 on it, and you could pull $10, $15 worth of cards potentially. Maybe that's a little low. Maybe like 25 or 30 is probably your floor. But back then, you could open an $80 box and your floor was probably $30 because you were guaranteed illustration rares that would sell pretty reasonably well. You were guaranteed a special illustration rare, a gold card, and those, along with the playable cards, made it easy to make up your roughly close to 2/3 of your value. Um, but yeah, I went down a dark hole of opening Pokemon cards for 6 months or so. Maybe not that long. Maybe it was like 4 or 5 months. But yeah, I was opening on Rip and Ship streams. I was paying for those. I was at home just like cracking a case of Paldea Evolved when I just wasn't feeling very good. I was having kind of a rough time mentally, and I was compensating with that by opening packs and stuff to make me feel better. I actually master setted Crown Zenith and 151 and Paldea Evolved during that time. It was really cool. But it cost a lot of money. I was well into the five figures deep in spending money on Pokemon cards by the end of the year. And at that point, I kind of I had been watching investing content. I had been talking to my friend who talked to me like 7, 8 years earlier about what he was doing. And I decided, I'm going to take all the cards that I pulled in Pokemon. I'm going to take the money that I have from that and I'm going to start investing it back into sealed cards, grading cards. I graded probably like a third of all the cards that I pulled. And from that initial investment, I actually doubled my money from reinvesting into sealed product and getting graded cards back from what I was pulling. And so at the end of the year, I had put, a lot of different plays. As an example, I bought Crown Zenith ETBs over Black Friday for $300 a case. Now you can actually sell those for over $3,000 per case, and I held on to mine for all that time. So there were a lot of investments there that I really took advantage of and got a great return on. So ultimately, that time there was a very tumultuous year, but Elestrals pulled me back into trading cards games and really got me into the door on my Pokemon investing, which to date has helped me very significantly work towards my retirement goal. I'm currently in software engineering. Long term, my goal is to eventually become a teacher. I didn't want to become a teacher when I first graduated school because I came from a very low income family. And I didn't want that for my family. I wanted to work somewhere where I could make a good living, move out of the lower class, and be able to actually contribute significantly to my family's financial stability. So my plan is ideally to retire before the age of 50, 45-ish, and be able to just work as a teacher, preferably math, more like middle school, high school, probably high school. Middle schoolers are weird and difficult, maybe college, but I just have a really strong passion for teaching. And so that's something that Pokemon has helped me a lot with already. I just the way that things have gone, which part of that is timing. I came in right at the end of a bear market, I guess like the middle to the end, and we've been on a very strong bull market since then. But first edition eventually came out. I was still not great money wise there, so I bought a few boxes I didn't get into it nearly as deep as I did Kickstarter. They announced Shattered Stars, which I am a huge fan of specialty sets in Pokemon. And when I saw Shattered Stars, I was like, hey, this is Elestral specialty sets. I'm going to buy these, but I don't have money. So I signed up for, I believe, the 10 bundle per month packs. But Black Friday came around in 2024 and I saw a huge opportunity. And I was like, there's no way these packs should be selling at $3. I calculated the expected value of it. I'm going to have a whole video about this for my 31st straight day of videos. You guys will see that here in a couple weeks at this point. So I won't go into the details now, but essentially I made at this point I have actually made five figures on that original deal, which is just absolutely crazy that happened. But that kind of brought me back fully into Elestrals, and I have been actively working in Shattered Stars since. First edition booster boxes really weren't calling to me. I think in general the booster boxes have struggled on the mainline sets to really provide a collector's value. So I've opened at least a couple cases of both Moonrise and Daybreak. It's just so much harder to make money from that. It's not something that I, as an investor, am interested in, and it's more of me either collecting cards, supporting the game, or you get them here and there for a really cheap price. So I'll have fun with it here and there. But um, yeah, I think Divine Champions was really the first sign to me, like, oh hey, this has a lot of value in it. Firestorm was something that really caught my eye. Still think it's my favorite set now. Um, Partially, I think the print issues, and some of the problems they've had helps contribute to that, obviously. But I think just the idea of the Divine Champions, I think the trainer galleries really speak to me a lot. I love stories and lore when it comes to these kinds of animes or card games or things. So I'm hoping that comes out more with Elestrals. But ultimately, to the question of why am I still here? Number one, I do think there's still opportunity in this space. I don't think, like in Pokemon, you can work in six figures very easily in Elestrals. I don't think there's enough market cap for that right now. For one seller to be able to maintain $100,000 worth of sales in a year in Elestrals doesn't feel super achievable. I think you can do it, but at that point, like, are you a tenth or a quarter of the whole market? That would be really difficult to do, right? I do think it is not hard in Elestrals to profit 5, 10, 20, $30,000 a year with the right plays, with the right capital invested in it. I think you definitely can flip and turn your money pretty easily. There's lots of good deals, lots of good art, lots of things that people are interested in collecting. It's just not a big enough volume space yet. So while it is true, I am here and I'm still making money in it. That's not my main driver. Really, I like Elestrals as an IP, and even more than that, I feel like I kind of owe it something, right? Like, uh, going through this process has meant a lot. It has made a huge impact on my life financially, mental health wise. Like, it has contributed positively to my life, and I want to give back to the community for that. Right? There are a lot of people in this space who I've gotten to know, and friends with, I talk to on a regular basis. And it just means a lot to me. And I think that community, that openness, I do also really value just personally transparency and openness that the Elestrals leadership pushes, especially A Drive. I think, like, if I were going to run a company, the way he pushes and shares and all that stuff is really similar to how I work in my normal job. And I really value that. It's part of what brought me towards him as a content creator to begin with, right? There's just a lot of similarities and ways that we act and think that kind of speak to me. But yeah, I think it's good. Obviously, the content creators I mainly follow are very interested in Elestrals as a whole. I think the investment money is good too, but I think ultimately it's just like it has had an impact on me, and I want to have a similar impact to the people in the same space the same way. As far as the future goes, like I said, I don't see myself looking to corner the market in Elestrals. I'm not trying to become the biggest Elestrals seller. Although, with the YouTube channel and the marketing videos my kids want to make for my website, maybe that'll happen one day. Who knows? But I'm not really thinking about that as much. I'm just thinking, about taking what I have, investing, pouring back into the community, getting something tangible out of it, right? But for the most part, I foresee, as of right now, my plan with Sunstrike was order a couple cases at launch from distribution, get some starter decks, um, open the starter decks and sell what I can out of that. The starter decks that I got from Sunstrike, I'll probably do a video about that at some point. But I got ultimately 19 cases of starter decks, so that's 190 total starter decks. I opened somewhere around 2/3 of those, maybe a little bit more. I think I opened 15 total, so whatever math that is. And overall, I actually netted positive from doing that. And Elestrals being a positive EV environment for opening packs, I still have that itch. I still feel that drive to want to open things and get the enjoyment out of that. I do still have a collection, and I plan to expand that as I see fit. Unfortunately, there haven't been enough Netcruft cards, which is my favorite Elestral. I wish that they would do more with that. Hopefully, it'll be coming soon. But yeah, I think, and as far as Shattered Stars goes, especially for Shattered Stars 2, I'll keep buying the BOGO. I think it's crazy that people aren't doing that. And I think, especially starting with Ethereal, that's going to be a huge set. I think, I don't plan on investing $10,000 into it, but could I throw a couple $1,000s at getting a few cases of it and hold on to that? I think so. And I will definitely be buying as many as I can at $40, up to like 10, 12 cases maybe to open and sell the singles from that. But yeah, I hopefully can give back to the community. I made this channel specifically to help other people around and share information, partially just to test my own ability to do something like this. I love talking to people and sharing stuff. Something that I definitely want to do in the near future is start lives, so that I can talk back and forth with people and people can ask questions or give me feedback, stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much my whole journey to this point, why I'm here, what I'm doing, what I look to do in the future. Hopefully this is relatable to some people. If not, and you clicked off the video, oh well. It's something I felt like might be useful to some people. What's your story? Why are you here? What got you in here originally? Let me know. Leave a comment. Let me hear from you. Otherwise, like and subscribe to the channel. We are going to have more and more videos, daily content. After that, I'll have a set schedule. If enough people are watching, I might even continue some of the daily content or try to push for 5 pieces of content a day. But yeah, that's pretty much my whole spiel. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm out. Later.